Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Aurora. This is episode number 2 in what will hopefully be a long-running series. But in this episode, it's kind of like it's the first proper episode. The last episode was kind of just a little test for me to see how to like use YouTube properly and everything. But in this episode, we actually start the main city. So for this episode, we work on the rollout for the for the downtown where the financial center is going to be all the offices, and we also work on the rail yard and like kind of a bit of a transport hub because I want to focus on public transit quite a lot for this project or for the city. I just find it quite like interesting, everyone using it. I use it quite a lot, being a university student. I use it basically every day. So yeah, again, like I said, this is my first time playing like a modded game. So I'm trying to figure out how to like make it look and how it works well. So yeah, there's a lot of kind of placing it down then deleting, placing it down and deleting. But eventually at the end I think I get it. Though there is a bit of like track clipping, which you can see right now happening. I know you can download other track assets or track mods. Like I think Railway Replacer 2. But I don't know. I don't want to. I already have so many assets and mods. I just feel like I could add it in, but I don't want to go too overboard, so I kind of just left it without it. But going forward, again, like I don't really care too much about the appearances. I just want to make something that looks really cool from a bird's eye view instead of really up close and personal like cinematics. Yeah. So in this video, focus on that, and like I said, I do place down a subway station or a central subway station that I want, and build some branching off lines, just so I get a rough idea of where these subway lines are gonna go, because there's gonna be suburbs but not too many. It's gonna be primarily just like downtown, like New York type of downtown, like buildings everywhere, and then suburbs and like some surrounding little pockets. In the end of this video, I decided to do a live play instead of cinematics because there's not really much to show off in this episode, and so I decided to just kind of show around the map and explain kind of some ideas that I have. For a lot of the inspiration and ideas, I've been watching a lot of the City Skylines tutorials, just so I could get some kind of good ideas and like building tips. And this transit hub that I'm building right now, I took a lot of inspiration from their transit hub tutorial video. I also I bought the train stations DLC, or the content creator pack, yeah, because it's on sale. And yeah, I really like the see-through underground subway stations, which I just think are really cool. I also have the metro overhaul mod installed, so got like the underground tunnels that are actually rendered and everything. So it's kind of more realistic just in that alone. There's also kind of at this transit hub, there's one subway station. You guys probably already know this building. I forgot what this big train terminal building is called, but in front of it I built kind of like a bunch of roads that I'm going to end up putting some bus lines on. I didn't actually put the bus depot in there, or the bus station, the bus depot, the one with all the stops. I didn't actually place that here. I want to place that kind of more in the, like I want to place maybe 1 or 2 of those down, kind of more in well-populated areas in the center of the city. Here I just placed like where there'd be like, I'd assume there'd only be like 3 or 4 bus lines that actually ended or came here. Well, at that main terminal thing, I would have kind of more not international, but more express buses, which is what I'm going for in that area. I was also just there trying to test out to see if my trains, the assets that I downloaded, or not the assets, but the models that I downloaded, if they would actually fit in the stations, which the one I downloaded 2, which I think are similar trains, or like at least like a newer version and an older version of the same one. They're German ones, I'm not sure the exact names, but yeah, the newer one that I like better, that looks kind of more modern, high-speed rail, that one doesn't fit. But the other one does, but it doesn't look as nice, so I'm trying to find another model that I can use for like kind of the city standard. As a kind of rough guideline of how the track should be laid out, I used Union Station in Toronto. I did actually download a Union Station asset that like was really good. I really liked that one. It had like a special tracks, like which are the ones that I'm using right now. I just decided to keep them because they had more variants, and they still look like the default ones. But yeah, all the platforms were single lines, and it was just a little difficult to work with. Like I don't know, it's just not as seamless as the ones that come with the game, so I just decided to go with that one instead of getting a custom one. Though for the actual stations, like smaller ones throughout the rest of the city or in the surrounding areas, I'll probably try using custom ones just because they look nicer. Yeah, but a lot of inspiration from just Union Station in general. Now I started working on the road layout. You'll notice that quite a bit throughout this video. I kind of jumped in between road layout and building that kind of the passenger hub or the transport hub. I don't know, I guess I just kind of get bored while playing, decided to change it up a little bit. Even with the road layout, I take a lot of inspiration from Toronto. I don't know, some of you might be able to recognize what I'm building right now, or the street that I'm about to build, but it is Dundas Square. Yeah, I'm basically there every other day of the week. So yeah, I don't know, I just kind of like the road layout, so it's the shape. I was kind of using two references at first. Well, when I told you guys, I think I mentioned this, but I did try building this before, but then that save game kind of broke. And after that, I'm trying to rebuild it, and I'm using still some ideas that I used for that. And the road layout for that one was actually really well done. I tried recreating it a little bit, couldn't really get it. Yeah, so I tried redoing Dundas Square, but for when I was doing the previous one, I used Chicago and Toronto as kind of my references for road layout. Chicago's got like really grid, it's all grid. Toronto's still a kind of organic, it has a lot of kind of weird shapes kind of going around. I actually really like this road design. It's got like a really wide median, and then it's only one lane as well, with the shoulder kind of acting as almost a parking area. So I was initially thinking about turning parking off just to make it look a little cleaner and probably improve traffic, but I'm probably going to keep it on just so it looks like people are coming in to pick up and drop off people. Also, because of the shoulders, when you put a bus lane there, it adds in the kind of dashed line, which I think looks really good. I'm probably going to build, I didn't add a parking garage in or parking lot, which I have to do, or probably like it's a pretty major hub, so there's going to be a lot of people coming in. Actually, now that I think about it, places like Union Station don't really have parking garages, but yeah, I'll see. Gonna have to put at least some parking. Yeah, for the parking, I got the mod that everyone has, the parking lot roads, and I have a parking snapper to make it a little easy to place those down. I think I used it, I don't use it in this video, but it will be used quite a lot. I kind of want to, like I said, I want a lot of transportation, but I don't want it to be the only focus. I do also kind of, I like cars, I'm a car guy, so I don't want to get rid of all the cars. I still want people driving. So here I placed down path, but then I realized that I have surface painter. I guess I just forgot. I ended up deleting this later on. I have to place path there anyway so people can actually cross the road, because when I placed down the roads, I realized that they had a bunch of intersections that they looked pretty ugly. I kind of wanted to get rid of them, so the easiest way was, I could have used like a ploppable concrete or ploppable asphalt and just covered them up, but I still don't want people walking across. I want kind of like a quick easy way for buses to go, so I ended up just adding in paths overhead, which overall I think looks a lot better, so I'm glad I did that, which is again kind of copied off the tutorial. I tried doing the road layout. I think I overcomplicated it a little bit, and it's kind of messing up with the buses. Like they're not, if they want to go like with the lane changes, they don't have time to change lanes. And so if I want to put like, just because I have a lot of space for stops, I might just put like 2 stops for one bus line here or something like that later on when I do actually start adding in the bus lines. I can't, if the bus wants to stop at a like kind of just another stop that's just up ahead, it has to basically go all the way around again. So I'll have to rework that. I'm not sure. I did do a couple of tests just to see how well the buses ran through this, and here I'm trying to figure out how to use the time traffic lights, because I wanted both sides to go off at the same time and them having really short like durations, just so I could get kind of the main roads traffic moving a lot more. But yeah, I couldn't figure it out. I tried doing it for like a few minutes, and after that I kind of just gave up. I thought I'd watch a tutorial eventually. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. The placement of this I feel isn't great, but I didn't really want to change the map too much that it came with, or that the base game came with, and the track kind of ran through this area. I also don't want the train station going directly through like the busiest area, the financial district. which is kind of just north of this, which is the area that the roads that I'm working on are kind of part of. I used a lot of the intersection marking tools in this area to try to make it look nicer, but I couldn't really get it to work in a way that I liked it, and so I kind of just did it. I don't know what I thought looks best. It's definitely not realistic, but you know, this isn't based off any real city, I guess. So they got their own unique system figured out. Moving forward, I definitely want to redo a lot of the stuff that I've built, like that I'm gonna build, just when I actually do get better at the game. And for this build in particular, I didn't really have any good reference points or kind of things that I could base it off of. I don't really know any good transit hubs that are kind of built like this anywhere near here. I guess Union, the GO stations, some of the GO stations, they have a lot of transit or like buses and trains meeting each other. But yeah, so didn't really have any good reference points. But over here now, I tried doing a bunch of lines. I couldn't really get it to work out very well. I was trying to have it so each lane had a direction to go in, and they had to kind of follow that, and they can't change it because I kind of wanted you have to be in a specific lane to turn in a specific direction. But because it's like 3 roads merging into one, it's kind of hard to do. I think there's a way to do it using like dotted lines, but I kind of just left it blank, just added a few lines in. I couldn't really figure it out for now. Maybe going forward, maybe going forward I can do something with it. Yeah, I kind of played around with it for a few minutes. Out of all the mods, honestly, I probably used this one the most because before I started even this city, I built like just a custom map. I wanted to do a custom map for my own city, but I couldn't really get a good looking one, so I just ended up downloading one from off the workshop. But yeah, with that custom map, I was using the intersection marking tool for the highway interchanges, and yeah, I couldn't really. I did it quite a lot. Even on this map before starting the city, I did that with basically all the interchanges. So at this point I started deleting all the lines because I couldn't get it to work well. Just kind of filling in what I thought would work. I also got rid of all the crosswalks using Traffic Manager President, which is a really good mod. I think I'm about to start doing the paths now, which I think the paths came out pretty good. This is probably the part that looks the most similar to that. Actually, you know what, this entire thing looks like that tutorial, but I think the paths came out pretty nicely. I did them around, I think, 6 meters off the ground. At first I was going to do them 9 meters because that was the game base default, but that was way too high. I was having problems with this road type that's going underneath, the one with a really wide median. It kept on, like the street lights were clipping through it, so I ended up moving them back, and even in real life the street light's still really close. It'd probably be like not even a safety hazard. I feel like people would just kind of break the street light just for the fun of it, just because it's so close. But I did check to make sure that a bus and any other vehicle could actually fit underneath it, so I placed down a trailer prop, and even for a little while it had a bus line set up, just kind of like I put down the bus station, just put some stops to this area just to see if the buses had good clearance. And after that, yeah, I start with the paths. I decided to kind of like go with a symmetrical on both sides. I did as close as I could and tried to put in the center as close as I could. The only part that's not really symmetrical is kind of on the bottom part of these 2 paths that are going on either side, going into kind of like the middle concrete areas. Just tried lining it up as best as I could. I don't know if I did a good job. And so kind of basically more or less done, just putting down some extra paths to see some pedestrians walk. And then yeah, the surface painter. I definitely want to add in more greenery into this area, but for now it's more or less done. Another issue that I'm having, if anyone has a good answer for, is with the surface painter, when it meets the actual concrete on the sidewalk, it kind of makes like a little crack. I'm not really sure how to get rid of it or if there's a mod to fix it. For now, I just kind of tried hiding it underneath the path to make it less noticeable, but hopefully someone has a fix for it and they can let me know. Another thing I'm worried about is I used Anarchy to place down the paths in places you normally couldn't, so I'm hoping that people are still able to use them. I think they will, but yeah, gotta have to make sure when I actually get people moving in and using that. Now we're back to working on the roads. I was kind of struggling with my road layout, so I did use some kind of reference images. I primarily used Toronto and Chicago, which is two kind that I found. I found like an article comparing the two city layouts because there's kind of similar cities. So yeah, but what I noticed is Chicago is all grids. It's grids upon grids. The entire city's grids. Toronto's similar, but Toronto has grids, but it's a lot more kind of unnatural, almost like there's a lot more curves and a lot more like diagonal intersections like I have here, and there's a lot more kind of different shapes, like actual winding roads even throughout the city. I used a lot more from the side of Toronto, I guess, not much from Chicago, though Toronto I like it. It does have a lot more kind of ununiform design, but there are still big grids. So what I noticed was Toronto's built on a grid. So there's like large size grids made with the kind of main roads, like 2-lane or 4-lane or like 3-lane roads. But then inside each grid, the roads are kind of like completely random. Each grid has a little different. Some of them are just grids, like smaller grids inside the main grid. Other roads are kind of more winding and bending. And I guess, yeah, that's what I noticed the most about Toronto. So I kind of tried doing that a little later on, which is what with the kind of main roads. I guess that's how the road hierarchy works. You got the collectors, the arterial roads, and yeah. It was also at this point where I tried playing around with the tunnels, because I wanted, because it's kind of a larger road, I didn't want it to bridge over, and it's also a wider part of the track, so I didn't want it to bridge over, so I wanted to go underneath, but I couldn't really get it to work. I continued to try to play around with it, using kind of move it, doing it up and down. Though yeah, I wasn't able to get in this video, but I watched a tutorial on YouTube. But I didn't even watch a tutorial, I just watched some gameplay and just kind of copied. I'm gonna try to copy what they were doing to build something like this. And I'll probably end up just doing that like in between episodes. But yeah, what I wanted was kind of just the roads going underneath, and I plan on doing maybe like, there's going to be a fair few crossings because this train kind of runs still through the middle of the city. And I still do want some apartments and stuff kind of closer to the waterfront. In Toronto, because Union also runs kind of close to the waterfront and basically across the entire city, or one side of the city, they have a lot of roads that have to go underneath it or over it, especially at Union Station, because there's so many tracks and they're pretty wide. They have like the kind of major roads just going underneath it, and then highway ramps around that. And yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to go for, or kind of what gave me the idea to do this. But yeah, I couldn't really get it to work. I think this is pretty close to it, but I need to do the roads a lot lower. There was also a point, I don't know if I was watching the video while I was actually building or in between like some sessions, but I ended up watching the rail yard tutorial on the City Skylines YouTube channel, and so I tried kind of copying their technique of placing the tracks in hopes that it would kind of fix my problem with the tracks clipping. It didn't end up working, but yeah, I'd hope there's like a mod or something to fix it without me needing to install custom tracks. And it's not, the clipping doesn't even bother me. It's more that these like electricity poles or whatever they're called holding the wires, it's that they're kind of actually placed on the track. That's what is kind of annoying me the most. Again, and I'm back to working on the road layout. I am probably gonna, like, the road layout's definitely gonna change as I place in buildings, just because I feel like the roads are too close to each other and there's not really enough space for actual like buildings to go. And I kind of struggle with that like on this like rebuild anyways, because I did build this the first time, and that time my road layout was really nice, but and the spacing was really good, but I don't know, I couldn't really get it. It feels like there's less space to work with. I don't know why, but I don't know. It's also here that I decided to build a roundabout, just to kind of change things up a little bit. I also had around 3 roads intersecting around here, but I did really struggle with this. I have the roundabouts mod to help me to make the roundabouts, but when I tried connecting the roads to it, it kept on kind of messing up the roundabouts, like the sphere, or not the sphere, the circle. Yeah, it kept on kind of messing it up, so I kept on having to delete it and re-put it in. It's kind of annoying, but I managed to get it to work in the end. I also didn't realize that the highway was right next to it while I was building it. It's kind of afterwards I realized, and so now I'm probably gonna put like a another intersection here, not intersection, interchange. Probably the trumpet interchange, if that's probably gonna work the best. I don't really plan on putting anything major on the other side of this highway. There's mountains there anyways. One thing that was slowing me down quite a lot during the building process was like using anarchy itself, because every time I tried placing a road, I couldn't tell if it was actually connected to a node or if it's actually attached to the road. So I placed it down, and then it turns out it was kind of a separate road section and it wasn't actually connected. I kind of figured out how to tell is if it's I have the engineering mod, I forgot what it's the exact name for it, but the one that kind of gives you better details when actually building, and that displays like a little green thing showing kind of the angle of the roads. So I was kind of using that as my reference to know if the roads were actually connected or not. But it kept on meaning that I had to delete some roads, and there's probably some roads that I've already built that I just didn't notice that aren't connected, which I'll have to fix. After finally getting the roundabout to work properly, it's then that I realized that I'm really close to the highway. So I began to look at some interchanges that I could fit in. And they're a lot bigger than I thought, so I'm gonna have to move the highway around, move it closer to the coast. But I think I need more entrances into the city anyways. One thing that I did try doing like right there was using Surface Painter. I know a lot of map makers use it to make the maps look more dynamic other than just green everywhere. Use that to paint the terrain, and I tried painting that around the tracks just like everyone else does, or just like the rest of this map does. And at this point I was thinking about actually starting a bit of a skyline, but then I realized that I should probably place down the subway stations, just because I know they're gonna I want to place those down and not have to move the buildings around later, so kind of work in a hierarchy, first place the essentials and then place buildings around it. I really love this big train station, or not train station, this like metro hub with like the 5 stations. At first I thought it was a little overkill because I don't really need 5 lines, but I ended up making it work, I think, pretty well. I have 3 proper like normal lines, and then the 4th one, which you'll see kind of like a little bit once I place it down, it kind of loops around like or it loops back on itself, kind of like the TTC's line number 1, which runs from which runs from north to south and then back up north. These subway lines that I placed right now are really rough, and some of them run way too close to each other than like what they would realistically, and in those places I want to try putting in the dual platform stations, or the dual platform stations, just to kind of like, I guess, some more changing points for people. I also tried connecting this the line to the major major train station. One other thing that I want to try doing is, I'm not sure if I'm gonna is connect the metro to the actual airport. It would make sense because they are pretty close to each other, but I kind of don't want it to, because I want people to like drive from the airport or take other forms of transit like the bus from the airport. I kind of see how it goes from there. Yeah, but I basically got 3 lines running parallel to each other at just different like levels, kind of one near the coast, one in the middle, and then one near the highway. Though that's basically it for this video. We're coming to the end of the time lapse, so I'll see you guys in the live play.